Should come up in a sec. Yes.
Okay, welcome everybody to the July meeting, 15th of July, of the Finance Compliance and Committee. First of all, any apologies for absence, please, Ian?
Yes. Apology for Councillor Erasmus.
Okay, thank you. Any declarations of interest?
I've got one, Chair. I'm the chair of Oystermouth Historical Association, and that relates to agenda item 12, the grant application. So I'll leave during that discussion.
Is it? It's a prejudicial one, is it?
I suppose it is. Yes, it would be first-line prejudicial, I think, yes.
And you can't vote anyway, so I don't see why you...
Well, Kerry asked me to leave, so...
Yeah, it's probably safer.
And I'll do a personal interest on the number 11 movers and movers grant application. Okay then, to approve the minutes of the last meeting. So I'm looking at Ian and Tim to do this because it was just the three of us here.
Minutes of the last meeting.
Yes. Well, the record breaking meeting in 3 minutes 40 seconds.
I think it's
No, because I jumped after what you did.
yeah, we'll just make sure that there was enough people that was
Yeah, we record. No, not really. We just all moved on to either this meeting or the ongoing
up in that.
2 points.
Yeah.
There we are. Okay, so standing actions from the
Yes,
police.
4 outstanding actions. Yeah.
Right.
The first 3, I haven't got any updates. There was an RFO. I'll go through them, but they're items 3, 4, and 5. Are you then?
You can defer them if they're still with the RFO.
The other outstanding action is number 16, which was allocated at the last meeting to me, and that relates to the re-establishment of the policy working group. So that's complete.
So what if anybody hasn't already and who wishes to be on the group for that, please just send her an email to say you'd like to be on it. There we are. Brilliant. Thank you. So budget monitoring reports from the 31st of the 5th, 24 to the 31st of the 5th, 24. Has anybody got any questions on those?
Now, would you like me to share those on screen?
Yeah, go on.
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Be much easier.
For you to know, Chair, I haven't received any queries from the work.
No.
Good. Teams. There we go. Share. These ones. Okay.
Good.
Thanks, Phil.
Increase those a bit.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay, it's worse with my glasses. My long distance is okay. It's my close. I can see that.
Just about.
So everything is in the green, which is rather good.
Healthy.
It's healthy. Are you all happy to approve those?
Shall we look at the what's got first or
Yes, so there's several.
yeah. Expenditure.
Yep.
Increase that a bit. Yeah. That's great.
So cross.
Yeah. And that's Austrian stuff.
What's car consultancy? That's part of the Austrian RO.
That's Fort Street.
Yeah, that was one of, I can't remember offhand which one, but it was one of the consultants that Down to Earth appointed to follow up on, I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm sorry. We seem to have two development design teams, so I'm not quite sure.
Bit expensive.
Yeah. One, yeah, I'm not quite sure why we had two.
Well, it looks like there's architects.
It's Austrian.
The planning fee is gone to Swansea Council.
Okay, given athletic, hoisting. It's in the
The
opposite.
grants have gone out.
Yeah.
Traders, part of their annual grant.
So about 27.8. Tally up with what's gone out of the budget so far this year, or would it be slightly more than that?
Well, there's 24 plus the 3,138. But we will be putting, was that back or that out? That back, I thought.
That's out, I think it is there.
Will that be coming back to us then?
Eventually.
Eventually, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, that's normally just deducted from any the report that
That's good. So, right. That was the previous. Yeah,
we'll be able to
previous.
quite big,
Yeah.
quite small, isn't it?
Yeah, which was the 149. So that shows. Yes. 20 now, so yeah.
Good.
4 coming there. Okay. There we are.
Yep.
Anything leap out? Fine to me.
No, it's okay to me. Okay then, unless there's any questions, shall I move to a vote to approve them?
Yeah, I think, is there something on the report? Yes.
The grant, that's a separate item.
52 of those, but maybe that's likely.
Well, if we vote on number 5 for the moment, the monitoring reports, and then we'll look at the grant expenditure one. So for number 5 to approve those all of them. Brilliant, thank you. And have you got the others there, Phil? You can put it on the big screen.
Put the grants up now. What have we got here? Yeah, I can see it. Let's get it a bit bigger. So it starts at that.
Oh, sorry,
This report.
that's to do with the grant
Yes,
application.
yes.
That's the scores.
What else have I got here?
You've got grant, the next one is the grant expenditure report, 2020.
That's it. I knew there was another one I see.
Is this one?
That's it.
That's the one, yeah. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
So Friends of Climate over by 20 quid. 169 and what's the other one? Spot on.
Yeah, it's good to see that we've got feedback on what it's being spent on.
Yeah.
And the report back coming from the youth club, you know, they've given us a specific cost. So the 5,000 that we supported them, they've obviously been able to put some money of their own in to just pay that extra.
I know they'd love to increase capacity, but they can't.
I know.
You know, but their target audience, it seems to do very well with.
It seems to work very well. Right, is there
One of the volunteers for the GLE.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Good.
got several pages, I think, hasn't it?
It's one of 7, is it? Yeah. Yeah, it's some more than.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
So basically, we pay half of it, they pay half of it, so that's actually fine. Mumbles Rugby Club, 2,000, 5,000. But they put the rest towards the Mumbles Netball.
Underhill, I mean, just out of interest, I mean, don't have a hook. What was the thing with the generator hire? I know it's long distant history.
It was the festival thing.
Oh, that's right.
Bank holiday thing.
That's right. And it was an issue with the power supply or something, was there?
I'm not sure.
They had to get the generator.
There was, I can't remember what it was. It was.
I don't think they were able.
Supply big.
Sorry, you were saying?
I don't think they were able to use the power facility of the hub. Therefore, they had to use generators
So they don't
to chill down the beers and all the other.
So they don't have site hookup, which is.
Yeah, I think that was the reason behind it all.
I know. I mean, it's something that, really,
Yeah.
because if they want to use it for regular events, they really should be thinking about having proper power supplies that can be used outside.
Netball is good.
There we are.
Isn't that the one that's in Bishopston? Yes.
Sadly, they can get the use of the Westcroft Hall.
We go next page, please.
Yeah.
Sunday Tea Group, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Oh, one more. There we go.
Royal Symphony Orchestra, that was it.
Yeah.
I played in that and it was excellent. Lovely celebration of, didn't get paid. We all do it for nothing. But I know the music hire was expensive and the ex-Royal harpist who played and Mark Evans who narrated the music hire was really expensive because a lot of it's still copyright being free music. So yeah.
All Saints Church has got quite a regular concert going crowd, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was there with the different orchestra on Saturday and it's the venue in Mumbles for classical music, really.
Yeah.
There is nowhere else which, has a Steinway for a start of piano. Okay, are we all happy with those? We can approve those?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is budget 25-26. I mean, it's just basically to repeat what Paul said at full council last
That's the stream.
last week about. Am I right in that, Ian, about how the budget is going to work, where we're going to have the meeting?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and there's a sort of set formula he's done to it now.
I mean, Paul is due to attend to August, which there won't be one, so we'll hopefully get the September.
Well,
Sorry,
true.
apologies. I seem to have lost my place on it.
budget 25-26, but I don't think there's any.
It's just going back to that.
It's just going back to what he said in full council last week.
It's to set the budget. It's the timetable for the budget for next.
So we work to October, I think.
Yeah.
It's October so that we can get it all sorted before Christmas and just have an approval meeting then in January. So we're not here till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we be looking at Austrian expenditure under finance reports as well?
Yes, I'm sure we should.
So there are those three.
Yeah.
Just sorry, I have to whip back through
That's
this.
right.
Sorted themselves in the wrong order.
Austrian Centre. There we are. So we're a little bit under with gas, which is good, and with water.
Well, we are at the very beginning of the year.
We are at the very beginning of the year. So What's that one in the red at the end? Relief cleaner, an extra 160. Well, I mean,
Yeah, but there needs to be environment identified to cover it.
yeah. Let's have a look. I mean, the salaries. That looks the obvious one at the moment because it's 6,000 less.
Yeah, but they've only been paid for 2 months out of 12.
And is there going to be a backdating to the beginning of the financial year for any uplift once the unions agree?
Quite possibly.
So that might disappear quickly.
It might, yeah.
Perhaps we should wait until nearer the end of the year,
Yeah.
unless Paul needs it sooner.
I mean, we could vote to take it from contingency if there is nowhere else from this budget to take it from. But as Carrie said, it might be better to wait.
Just
Defer,
Yeah.
yeah. Are you all happy with that?
Yes.
There we are. Thank you. There's nothing else on Austrian, is there, Phil? No other.
There's the expenditure
There's the
income
there's
report.
the ins and outs which are next.
Expenditure transactions.
Yes,
Sorry.
it's very long.
Increase. Done the same.
Increased.
I shrunk it.
So let's
There we
see.
are. Okay.
So, energy comes first, I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah. EDF. Money out. It's fine to show it with just the net because I suppose that's the,
There's another column after that.
yeah, it's that. And then the total.
Total.
Power, water. KEX electrical. And pocket expenses there for Don.
Fire safety,
Security systems.
wages. Yeah.
Everything looks to be
Everything looks fine.
in order there. There doesn't seem to be anything out of place anyway.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll just take a vote on that then. Those favour. There we are. Thanks. Okay, so the
Yeah,
next.
I've got a query on the income transaction.
All right,
Are
okay.
they further down?
No, they're on another
Yeah, on the next sheet.
yeah. I can't see Barclays Bank anywhere. And I'm assuming they are paying us for the use of the craft room.
Oh, gosh, yes, that's going well.
Have they,
Yeah.
have they paid in a lump?
Well, that's what the query is, is it because they've paid a year in advance or several months?
Chair, I'd be happy to action that myself.
Check.
Check that with Paul.
Just, I think.
Copy you in, Carrie, okay?
Yeah, it's just, I think, important for us to have a record of, how much that is actually bringing us in. And it just seems an enormously long-winded way of doing it when every single class is paid separately. You would think there would be some logical kind of termly payment, wouldn't you?
Do we only charge when the hall is in use?
Well, that is one of the concerns
That's
because
the
people can just arbitrarily decide not to bother to run a class and we lose the money.
Well, then they must realise it's not house books, it's the same time before them.
Well, yeah. So, but that's the problem. They book it, but then they can pick and choose if they come or not.
No, if you block bucket, do you pay for those weeks you booked it for?
Well, they don't at the moment. If they cancel, they don't pay.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous because, if you take out a course in swimming for yourself or for a child, you pay up front for that 12-week course, and if you miss for any reason, then it's tough. You know, you've that money has gone out. So can we look at that, please, Ian, and action that as a thing for Paul?
Well, we're glad to do that, but I know Kerry is looking into that very issue.
Okay, maybe if she could just.
I'll make
give us
those minutes as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Because they should be paying a term in advance, and whether they come or not, you know, it should be paid. They shouldn't be able to just pick and choose when they can't.
Okay. Are we all happy, or any other questions on the finance reports? Okay. Next thing that we've covered budget. So Gower CIC grant application for £500 contribute towards a Welsh Heritage Festival, bringing together local schools and the community. Would anybody like to speak for this first?
I'm happy to speak for it. It sounds like a really nice little project. It's good as far as I can see. It involves all the schools and working at the castle and using the facilities of the castle. So,
Okay.
you know, it seems a nice thing to do. I think I had is it on this? There was one of them where they put two different amounts in.
Well, 500 is what we've got here. Is there any?
£2,000.
That's the total.
Well, that's what I'm querying, because at question 7, amount of grant requested, it says £2,000.
So the cost of purchasing 2,000.
Yeah, but that's they say they specifically put it under question 7, which it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. I think we can take that as a.
Well, we
an
just
error.
need to make sure that that's minuted, that
Yes.
that it is £500, not
Absolutely.
as on the grant request.
Okay.
Quite fast.
Yeah, Tim?
Can I just make a comment on Q9, the date, start date and end date, the same?
Question 9.
Q9, Q10.
Question 9, question 10.
Yeah.
Or are you on about agenda numbers?
Start date of the project and then.
Oh, right.
Yes, you're right.
So,
It's a 1 day. Has it been? It's
Yes, it
happened.
was last week.
Oh,
so is it?
so we can't really,
relevant?
yeah.
That's the one they paid towards.
Well, in fairness, I suppose if they got it in,
Do we still have to fund this?
Oh, they paid for it. They put it in on the 15th of May.
yeah. And unfortunately, we deferred last month, so it's, I don't.
We didn't have any grants come through at the last meeting.
The general election shares.
Actually, that explains it.
So
So we'd have to do this retrospectively, which we don't like doing, but what's everybody's feeling?
there is a precedent for it.
There is a precedent for it.
I mean, I would just say that, you know, we were, Sarah and I were approached independently by Bantanai, who work alongside or are part of this group.
Right.
As they were seeking funding for rental of the gazebos or what have you. And I know that we've all, that 3 or 4 of us have given from our councillor funds towards their expenses for the day. But it's a lovely project.
Okay. Is there anybody who wants to speak against this, against awarding the money for this?
No, but it does raise a question that we need to make, as far as I'm aware, we're not actually, there isn't an assessment of grants every month. Is that right, Ian?
It should be every 3 months.
Yeah, so people,
Should be expert on this because
Yeah.
it's fixed. So
you do them. So people need to be aware of the dates by which they need to have information in. So if they're wanting projects, you know, it's a lot longer. Before they only had to really have a couple of months in advance. Potentially this could be that they could be looking at 5 months in advance. To enable, you know, it to go through the
Channels.
assessment period for this meeting
In answer to your question about the £2,000, if you look on question 15 on the CIC,
Yeah,
it's got 500.
yeah, as I say, it's just worth minuting that we are noting the figure on question 15, not the one that was obviously accidentally filled in on question 7.
My only observation would be that we've been approached, as I said, I mean, this has been approached to the grant system, but we've also been approached individually as councillors, 2 different groups for the same project. And perhaps we need something in the rules about that as well.
Well, maybe they approached us because they didn't hear anything.
Well, this
They heard that.
this is an approach from Gower and Earth. Yet one of their partners, Bantanai, have approached for additional funding separately. So,
Which is a bit wrong, a bit naughty.
well, it's legitimately they can do so.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, they are a partner, but effectively, it's sort of like competition, because I mean, what if we were in the ridiculous position of only having £500 and only being able to,
Yeah.
you know, we would have to either divide it or
And I suppose it does beg the question that do they still need this £500 if they've already actually received it from other sources,
well, I would
i.e. from individual councillors?
well, I would say here, because it's actually 2 different sources.
Yeah.
Gower and Earth are asking it for their reasons.
Safer.
Ant and I are asking it for their
It's
reasons.
cost them
Rental of marquees and
I think we've got to treat this as a separate grant from any councillor who's been approached privately for this. I mean, this has come in, it's been approved by the grant process.
No, it's been marked, it's been scored by the grant process. We've
It's been
approved.
scored by the grant as applicable and worthy of a grant in the score thing. So I'm proposing we just take that as an independent grant application. So unless there's anybody who wants to speak against this, I'm going to move it to the vote. And
I just would like it minuted that, as Phil said, we do need to have some system whereby perhaps when they're being assessed, that people need to be aware that councillors have additionally or instead of also been approached to contribute money, because that might, you know, if, as you say, if we're tight on funds and someone's already had money from individual councillors, then we may choose to then use what limited funds we have for another project that doesn't have that benefit.
there we are. That's absolutely fine.
Yes.
There we are. Okay, I'm going to move to a vote on this one then. So all those in favour of awarding the £500?
absolutely.
Brilliant, thank you.
Apparently, it's a wonderful day, and if you haven't had the photographs, they can be supplied because they were sent on to us. Thanks.
Yes, good.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Next one then, St John's Ambulance Gower Division grant application for £500 to contribute towards the purchase of vital equipment for volunteers and includes expenditure for training.
A 5,000.
5,000.
I've got
5,000.
500 here on the
My
agenda.
application is 5,000.
No, it's both at question 7 and further
Right.
down. It's what amount of funding are you requesting? £5,000.
There we go. So it's 5,000. Sorry, it's I'm just reading it off the agenda for now. So £5,000 to contribute. Tim, you were first.
No further comment.
Well, just to
Just
Wanted to say, I suppose it's a little cheeky, but we always need first aiders when we do our parties in the parks.
pay them.
Yeah, we pay them, so perhaps it would be nice. We said, yes, we'll give that, but could you donate an hour, 2 hours to
Absolutely.
these parties?
I'm all in favour of that because I know St
Or
John's
at least give us a
Ambulance
reduced rate.
it cost us a lot for St John's Ambulance. So we were, in fact, in the Mumblesfest debrief meeting last week, we were looking at alternatives to St John's Ambulance because it is so expensive. So
It does say here that they offer it at reduced rates to somewhere it says they offer it at.
Community organisation.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a reduced rate, the amount they charged.
No, I know, I'm always surprised at how expensive it is, I must admit.
And I think what it raises again is the need for all councillors to have first aid basic training.
Is this something that we can ask them for a little more information on, a deferral in respect of, I personally,
Well, Phil's put that out there. What does everybody else think? Do you think that's something we can do, is defer it, or?
I would go with Sarah's recommendation that we do go back to them and say, if we give you this grant of 5,000, would you in exchange be prepared to offer us, one free event a year or something?
Or a few of them.
Or several,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it would just tighten our relationship with them, and they're more likely to get extra grants in future.
Yeah.
I notice it's the Gower division. So I wonder if other community councils around Gower are giving towards this as
Well,
well.
that's possible as well, of course. They could have approached all
They could
community
have.
councils.
they are seeking funds from other bodies to the tune of nearly £5,000.
Right, so
Right.
possibly asking that, which is fine, I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so, well, take a vote on this then.
Shall we ask for a bit of negotiation?
I think we can certainly ask for more negotiation and a bit of quid pro quo
Yes.
from them on this,
And come back to it next month.
and come back to it next month, because it doesn't seem, as long as you're all in agreement, it's something which is desperate
Well, the
now.
point is, they're always looking for volunteers. We don't mind them advertising
Yes.
and trying to get volunteers when we're taking the.
Yeah,
Absolutely, and they're always looking for money as well, so.
They're always looking for.
Just a note, I was going to say that we usually have a recess in.
Yes.
yeah.
Is this something that we can defer to?
I don't think it's going to make I mean, they're a large organisation. It's not like they're going to go under if they don't hear from us in
Okay.
till
So defer to.
Voting in Q17, May 24, hearing the result.
Right, so they've had it in quite a while.
That's additional funding, yeah.
Right. I personally think we can push this over till September. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Are we all in agreement with that we push it over till September? There we are, brilliant. Right, number 12, 11, sorry, no, 10?
And sorry, Chair, that was an action point as well.
That's an action point as well, yes.
So I will whoever, myself or Diane will liaise, yeah,
Yeah,
to negotiate.
negotiate, see what they can give us in return of us giving them money.
Is it appendix C, the next one?
Next one is 10, the Kids Cancer Charity Grant application for £1,000 to support families in Mumbles who have children diagnosed with cancer, and it's for respite breaks. I'm just going to ask the question, is there anybody who is against this? Because if not, I'm going to take it straight to the vote.
£500 ask.
I
1,000.
think they're asking for, well, it's, again, I think it's 900 and then they.
All right, £1,000. It says 500 at the top.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate
Yeah.
here and say, it's obviously we'd want to give this, but does that mean that MCC then will always be, we've started a precedent, someone will say, well, we've got a charity, you gave to that charity, will you give to this charity?
That's my one concern, Sarah, is that we're not supposed to be showing favouritism towards charities. I think what this is obviously tugs at us all because it's for kids with cancer. Very good point and a good question whether to
I think here this paragraph is very clear. Any money donated would help a family living in Mumbles that has a child affected by cancer, going through untold fear and the unknown. This is a part of our community. They are specifically saying
There are 4 families in Mumbles, but again, they've given 2 different figures. Are they asking for £1,000 as in question 15, or are they asking for £500 as in question 7?
Diane, are you able to
So again, I'm afraid we will really have to go back and say, which of those sums is correct?
I know it sounds silly, but it seems like a ridiculously small amount of money.
I know. Yeah.
What about if we approve it, if it's 1,000 or if it's 500? Is there a way we can do that, whichever they have asked for? Because, I mean, it's £1,000.
Well, if they're watching this meeting, Rob. Or if they.
Question 14 is a lot higher in terms of the total cost.
What, sorry, Tim?
Okay, question 14 is a lot bigger in terms of the total.
Yeah.
So.
Presumably that's.
1,000 probably isn't really a big difference compared to the total cost.
I'm assuming that the project covers the whole of the UK, so they're just looking for support. I mean, I don't think this is urgent. I mean, they're talking about the end date of the project is not until November. So again, I would think we can legitimately go back and say, please clarify. They might be £500 per family and they're supporting 2, or maybe they thought they were going to give 500 for 2 families, then they thought, oh, we'll ask for 1,000 for 4. It just needs to be clarified.
I think to cover ourselves a bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. Say it's now the holiday season. I know for people who are carers, there is no such thing as holiday season, but this is the actual official holiday season where people are likely to go away. So,
but they wouldn't, through this sort of thing, respite care would almost certainly be out of season.
Okay.
And as I said, the project runs till November. It says there the end date is the 8th of November, so there is time.
How is our grant fund looking again without me having to change the screen?
Oh, we've not spent much of it yet,
No.
so there's plenty available at the moment.
Okay. Is everybody happy to defer that until September?
Yeah.
Okay. There we are. Thanks, Ian.
Well, if we clarify, we want
The clarification of what they're asking for, yes.
Yeah, can I just say, before we start the next one, Kerry's asked me, she's hoping to be here, but she's got another meeting.
Right.
She wants me to read out a briefing note before we discuss the moves and grooves.
Yes, no problem.
Can I start that? Right. Briefing note, sourcing venues for free yoga sessions. Subject, challenges in sourcing venues for hosting free yoga sessions in the community. Background. The proposal to introduce free yoga sessions in the community aims to promote health and wellness. Preliminary research, including consultations with other councils, has highlighted various challenges in securing appropriate venues. This briefing note outlines these challenges and proposes a phased approach to implementation. Identified need for yoga. Yoga has been recognised for its numerous health benefits, including stress reduction, improved flexibility, and enhanced mental well-being. Community feedback indicates a growing interest in wellness activities, suggesting a potential need for free yoga sessions. Challenges in sourcing venues. 1. Availability and scheduling. Many suitable venues have pre-existing bookings, limiting availability for new activities. Community centres, sports halls and other public spaces often have tight schedules, especially during peak hours. 2. Cost implications. While some venues may offer free or subsidised rates for community activities, others may charge fees that exceed available budgets. Ensuring that sessions remain free for participation may require negotiating reduced rates or securing additional funding. 3. Accessibility and location. Venues must be easily accessible to ensure high participation. Central locations are preferable, but they are often the most difficult to book and the most expensive. 4. Facility suitability. Not all venues are suitable for yoga due to space constraints, flooring issues, or lack of amenities, e.g. mats, changing rooms. Venues must provide a quiet, clean, and comfortable environment conducive to yoga practice. Proposed approach. 1. Community consultation. Conduct a survey or public consultation to determine which free activities the community would like to see, with a focus on wellness and fitness programs. 2. Committee and council discussion. Present the consultation results to the committee and the wider council. Discuss potential budget allocations for these activities based on community interest. 3. Initial sessions at Ostrom Centre. Begin with 1 or 2 sessions per week at the Ostrom Centre. Use these initial sessions to gauge interest and participation. Research insights from other councils. Venue partnerships. Some councils have successfully partnered with local businesses and schools to secure free or low-cost venues during off-peak hours. Community hubs. Utilising community hubs or multi-purpose centres has proven effective, though demand for these spaces is high. Outdoor spaces. In suitable weather, outdoor venues such as parks have been used to host yoga sessions, though this is dependent on climate and requires contingency planning for bad weather. Volunteer instructors. Engaging volunteer instructors or collaborating with local yoga studios for community service has helped mitigate costs. Suggestions. 1. Conduct comprehensive consultation. Engage the community through surveys and public meetings to identify preferred activities and willingness to participate. 2. Explore budget and partnerships. Assess budgetary constraints and explore partnerships with local businesses, schools, and yoga studios. Investigate potential grant opportunities or sponsorships to fund the programme. 3. Evaluate additional venues. Continue evaluating other potential venues for suitability and availability, considering community feedback and logistical challenges. 4. Initiate pilot programme. Start with a pilot programme at the Ostrom Centre to measure demand and operational feasibility. Monitor participation rates and gather feedback from attendees. That's the end of that. And the last line Kerry has put is a recommendation still needs to be made on the movers and groovers application.
Right.
That's it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Okay. Just going to take the chair back up. Okay, so the movers and groovers are asking for £936 to provide elderly residents of Mumbles with fitness exercise classes. I know they've got some funding from elsewhere as well, so this is money to help make that happen. Phil?
I was really pleased to hear that briefing note because it's brought into focus what I think are some issues that are very relevant to this, because last year we had a very similar application from another yoga-based group who was working with people with mental illness, addiction, and what have you. And although there were people in the committee last week that felt very strongly that that should have been approved, it was not, on the basis of the fact that the argument being that as a private business, we would be opening the doors to undue competition and what have you, even though it was serving a very specific clientele, as it were. Now, I've noticed in this application, it's again serving a clientele that's obviously in need. Whereas the one last year was being offered effectively for free, this one has got a small charge attached to it. And again, it comes back to not wanting to weigh apples and pears, but the questions still remain as to whether or whether not, in terms of our policy of making grants, whether the same rules, I suppose, should apply from year to year, or whether actually we need to redraft our policies to, allow us, that sort of spectrum. I think, and it was funnily enough yoga that was brought up last year, and it was very much that there are other businesses that could be affected by the by subsidising basically, and would we be undercutting, other businesses who haven't applied?
Yeah.
So, as I said, the briefing note is great because it just focuses the fact that actually, as a community council, we might have 6 or 7, groups supplying yoga, but actually what's needed is something slightly different.
Specialist and dedicated channel.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's lovely to see that this is obviously aimed at movement, well-being, later life fitness and mobility. And I suppose that's why I'm saying it's apples and pears, because
what I can say, because I do know Vicky, who runs this.
Sorry, could I say it's slightly unfair for you to be speaking on behalf of someone when we can't compare it to other courses with people who don't have someone to speak on their behalf?
All I'm saying is, because I know the person who runs it, and I know somebody who goes to it, who is the same age as me, but so she doesn't fall into the elderly category, but has multiple sclerosis and obviously movement issues. So I was just clarifying that it's not just for the elderly, it's for people, a channel for people with movement issues.
Very apples and apples. It
Yeah.
was the one last time for the yoga in West Cross. Well, it could have been for anyone, but it was based in West Cross in Linden. It was for people that were older. It was also people with mental health issues, people with problems getting out of the house, and physical mobility.
okay.
Actually, to be honest, I was going to offer a change of idea. Rebecca Fogarty, my fellow councillor, and I thought it was such a good thing and we needed it in the community that we paid for it in the end. Perhaps the councillors from Oystermouth or Newton would want to pay themselves for it, because it sounds like it's a valid thing to do, but we did make rules last time.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with those rules. I thought as a community council we should support these things. We're very particular. And I think also if they're based in, is it coming to me? You're more likely to compete with people who are putting on this kind of thing then. And, whereas the West was well out of the way of that.
I appreciate everything I've heard so far, and I'm going to bring in everybody else. I think that from Kerry's report,
my concern was that
People would
legitimately, I don't believe that we can go forward with this. That's my personal view. We can't legitimately do that without either looking at our policy first, or, as was very aptly put there, actually, revising our sort of policy by consultation, which I think is a fabulous idea, actually.
as you know, one of our duties as a committee is policy, because the compliance side of things. And so to answer your question from what you said, is yes, as a committee, we can revise that. And that's going to be an ongoing thing. First of all, it has to, Kerry's going to finish with what she thinks, and then we add to, amend, change, whatever, depending on what we think as well. I think she raises some valid points that as a trial thing, it may be good to start it off. I mean, I wasn't on the finance committee last year, so, I wasn't part of those initial, not one, but we'll have the other sort of thing. It's obviously a legitimate grant application because it wouldn't have passed the score test otherwise. So we have to treat it as a legitimate application because it's passed through Diane and Kerry with their scores. So
I take it the one last time did as well, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we didn't have a system in place.
Oh, so it wasn't even treated the same. Well, this is a problem, isn't it? It's all.
we learn our lesson for next time with this. But I mean, I think we have to treat it as a legitimate case. Before I bring you in, Carrie, I just want to hear, is there anybody over here wants to say?
Yeah, well, I don't see why we're talking about an application that isn't before us. You know, we're dealing with the application for movers and groovers. And the committee last year voted in favour of approving that. And full council knocked it back, didn't they? That's the only reason that it's come back. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. It was never determined properly.
Sorry, Ian, I'm not quite sure which meeting you're speaking about.
Well, movers and groovers. That was an application that had been granted. Then another one came in, the West Cross one, and that was turned down. And then there was an issue with that, which went to full council.
Yes, but what we're saying is we started a precedent when you turned down the West Cross one, and you gave a very set reason that we shouldn't be funding things like that because it would put other businesses at a disadvantage.
It's an application that's been made on its own merits, and you know, we're not talking about something that happened last year. We shouldn't be talking about
So
that.
what was the merits that makes this one more viable than the West Cross one? This is a concern, is that you're told to...
That's
I'm
going
going
for this application. If
No,
one
it's
comes
only
in,
one at a time, and Carrie's
if one
back.
comes in from a previous applicant again, well, we'll review that when we get it.
and I'll
We
play.
can deal with this
And
one.
I will just raise the point that that particular application last year was sent back 3 times, and each time the application, there was consultation on it, and it was brought back in front of committee, and eventually it had to go to a full council, and for the reasons that were repeated in committee were repeated in full council, and it was denied. So,
Well, these were denied too.
Okay,
for good reason.
all right, I'll bring Carrie in.
Yeah, the argument made to turn down Sunshine Yoga was that there was lots of other yoga teachers, and why should we be paying for one class and not for others? That argument is absolutely 100% exactly the same there. So I'm confused as to why you, who made the argument that each of these are businesses, both of them, they make money elsewhere. So I'm interested in why this one you feel would not be, they make money elsewhere and therefore we're compromising other similar classes, when that was the argument used for Sunshine Yoga. I'm asking Ian because he was on the committee.
I was on the committee, and there were other parties, other councillors who voted the same way.
Yeah, but I'm asking you because you're here.
Yeah.
So I'm asking what your justification is.
I don't have to justify anything to you, of all people.
I'm asking what your justification is that
Well,
makes
the application
that
was based on its merits.
Well, no, because they got pretty much the same.
On guys, time out, we're not getting anywhere.
Yes, what? Look, all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
As noted, he refuses to comment on it, that's.
Let's answer questions, but if you want,
Excuse me,
if you want to make the point, please.
anybody in this committee should be able to answer.
If he's not in a dentist chair, forced down to answer. Point of order, you do not tell people to shut up. That's a first warning.
Okay.
Right.
I'm asking a legitimate
Let's do
question.
it in a
I'm
friendly
asking a legitimate question, and perhaps you point out to Ian that you don't say, I'm not answering to you for anything.
Right, we
Just treat people the same.
we all keep it civil. All of us.
All the time.
Civil.
Exactly.
All of us work same. Everybody in this room.
Point of order,
Yes, you may.
move to the vote.
I'll move to the vote. I think that's the easiest way.
One other point to make, and that is,
So we're allowed to speak once on the thing. You've had 3 or 4.
I
When
orders, ask, move to vote.
moving to the vote because we
well,
don't need to hear all night for this. Right, okay. Groves and Groovers have asked for £936. Provide elderly residents with CC with fitness exercises. All those in favour of awarding the grant? No. All those against? 3. Any abstentions? 1 abstention. I think that's.
Chairman, point on that. The only reason I voted against is because on this occasion, I think our clerk has made an excellent suggestion, which is that we can do community consultation, which can sort this sort of thing out in the future.
absolutely.
Right. Unfortunately, it does mean that I do think that the decision to not award this grant has been made because of other grants rather than based on what is in front of us with this grant. I think, and well, we are following the rules because these have all been vetted before they've come in, Sarah. You know, I'm only concerned about what's in front of us here. We've got to judge. Excuse me, I'm already speaking. Excuse me, I'm already speaking.
Feel that your should be funded, the decision is going to.
Excuse me, Harry. Do not speak over me. Do not speak over me. Speak, okay? What I'm saying is I object to you saying you are friends as if I'm trying to be biased.
That's exactly how you.
In fairness, he declared a personal interest at the beginning of this.
And what I was trying to say, if I was interrupted, is that what we're doing is trying to judge each application on what we have in front of us. This is the only yoga one which has come in, and that's why we were judging on that. But we're moving on. Oystermouth Historical
Say, as in the past, if once this is sorted, if Gowan Movers and Groovers wish to then submit a further application, I'm sure this committee will hear it.
And I'm sure it will be open to other organisations to similarly put in applications.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oystermouth Historical Association.
Should leave, Chair, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Do you need me to pull that up on screen?
It's okay. £913.97 to provide equipment for the digitalisation of the Oystermouth Historical Association's archive. One question I'd like to ask Ian, because he's on the Historical Association, is this anything that can be brought into the digital art that we have here, anyway, incorporating it into the digital archive?
Well, I think the interesting thing when they're describing the purpose of the project, you know, it's not just a paper trail. It's a considerable archive, which includes china, logbooks, plans of buildings, building of mumbles, district housing. You know, it's an enormous archive, and these are things which aren't incorporated into the overlap or duplicity with the story of mumbles. So this is the thing, and of course it takes up an awful lot of space.
So we're talking physical as well as obviously, you know, the things that can actually.
Yeah, well, they have an enormous record of things.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, it does specifically say this is to digitize their archive. It doesn't say it's to actually have physical things. So I don't understand why it is different. You know, what is this going to do that is not already? I looked on our previous budgets and we've spent something like £50,000 on the digital archive. So why on earth is this not part of it? you know, this is digitising and doing exactly what Mumbles, Story of Mumbles is doing, and to my knowledge, they were doing it in conjunction with Oystermouth History Society. So I just feel there's a vast amount of money gone into this already, and, you know, I'm sure the Story of Mumbles would be more than happy to take up this work and do it for them.
That's going to depend on how much it's going to cost, because I mean, I know they have tasks and work that they are already undertaking, and maybe this is just going to be too much on top of that for what we budgeted.
Is there a time frame?
I was going to say we could vote to defer this until September once we got the clarification of that, Ian.
Yes, if there are things you're not sure.
Yes, it certainly starts in October.
I think there's great understanding to be had in knowing our history, and when we're talking about perhaps people's personal items being digitized and things like that, there might be things that we haven't thought of here, and it's only fair to ask the historical association for information.
Yeah.
I think it's fair enough to ask for a bit more clarification on that. And to see if there is any way that it can be incorporated into our.
I think it's probably worth asking the question of the Story of Mumbles team as well, to ask, do they have the capacity to actually be able to do this themselves? And, that would seem the logical way, because it seems pointless when we have our own project to set up a separate project that's doing exactly the same thing. So, we have the money, we have a lot of money invested in it already. And I would hope that money that we've invested will enable OHA to be able to incorporate the work into it.
That's what we'll find out with the question, Sarah.
Yeah, also, I think if someone is doing research, it's easier if they find that there is one place to go to rather than, there's another Mumbles Digital Historical.
As I understand it,
It's not
John
that. It's not another Story of Mumbles. That's not what they're trying to do.
These are the
They have such an enormous paper archive. They wish to digitalise that.
Yes, but couldn't they go into our
That's what they're doing.
It's
one?
the thing.
Couldn't it just all go into the Mumbles one? So even if it was another chapter or
I'm not
something.
making the application. I'm trying to.
I understand the difference.
You're happy with the application.
I mean, if you were doing the history of a particular family in Mumbles, for example, as a family tree, that would be one very specific set of data. But if you were basically trying to catalogue every family tree, Mumbles, and the Story of Mumbles, what the Story of Mumbles tries to do is bring a coherent view and an accessible archive to people who are spot interested in certain things, whereas the Historical Association are archiving for as much as they possibly can, if I'm correct there, Ian.
But if you're an historian, you go in and you want to cross-reference the family,
Absolutely.
then it would be better for it to be on the same digital archive, surely.
But I think this is that the Historical Association has been going for a very long time. And people like John Powell, Brian Davis, people who have reams and reams of material, it's to get digitalised. But I vote that we
Differ on the basis.
just ask for that.
Yeah, I mean, from both organisations, perhaps they need to talk to each other.
We'll take a vote. So all those in favour? Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for the meeting. Next meeting, will be September.
I see, it's another story.
Are we finished?
Yeah.
We stopped recording.
No. Sit to the women's thing.
Yeah, that's stopping.
For these sort of grants and stuff.